PS3 emulation exists, and I think it's really cool. Hello, my name is Brendan, and welcome to another episode of Sunday Quickie. If you're not aware, in Sunday Quickie we take a more casual approach to the happenings in the retro gaming world. There's no script, nothing like that, it's just me looking at a subject and talking. So today we are talking about PS3 emulation. Now, is that retro? I guess that's probably a hot topic at the moment for that generation of consoles. I mean, they've been out nearly 15 years now, more than 15 years actually, I think, if I can do some simple math in my head. I'm not actually sure what year the PS3 came out, was it 2008? Anyway, you may have seen the video I released last week, which was where I soft modded a PS3, and it's really got me thinking about the PlayStation and how nostalgic I am for it. You see, it was the first console that I ever bought with my own money completely. Obviously, I had consoles before that, some of which I partially paid for, some of which were given to me because I was so young, but the PS3 was just sort of that step of independence for me as I was getting older, I was working in a job, stuff like that. So I really want to see where PS3 emulation is at in 2024 because it's not an easy thing to emulate. It doesn't have very common architecture. It's called a cell processor, I think. I didn't really look any of this up before the video. I'm just going off memory, but it's very unlike traditional processors that you find in other consoles. So getting the emulation working has been quite tricky, but there's been a team hard at work. It's all open source, free to use, and I think it's pretty cool. I'm super excited to show it to you. And, you know, I should be clear, this is not aimed at me. I don't need to use PS3 emulation. I've got two PS3s, both my original Fatty and the one I soft modded the other day, but I also have a pretty extensive collection. There's over 60 games. So I really don't need this, but other people may find this interesting. So a little bit on the computer that I'm going to be running this on. I will be using the Elgato for screen capture. So you may hear my laptop down there going all Thunderbird 3 as it revs up as it's recording. But I'm just doing that so it's not going to take away the performance from this computer. This computer, by the way, it's not that beastly. It has been beastly at periods of time. Money has been spent on it, but some of it is aging quite a bit. So on the plus side, I do have an RTX 3050. That's probably the newest addition to the computer, which I bought last year. So that should be handy for this. But as for the processor, I'm using an Intel Core i7-7800X, which was a beast in its day, but it's getting a bit old now. I think I bought it like 6 or 7 years ago. It's currently clocked at 3.5 gigahertz, but I do plan on overclocking it very soon. I think it's probably time to try and get a little bit of extra juice out of it. So you know, I can just pull a little bit more life out of it before I have to buy something else. Otherwise, I've got a 32 gigabyte hard drive and everything's running off an M.2 drive. So it should be pretty speedy. But from what I found, it seems to be good enough for this. So I don't even know if I mentioned the emulator yet. Today we're using RPCS3. Very catchy name. I have to read it every time I want to say it. I just can't seem to memorize those letters in that exact order. Regardless, it seems to be the go-to PS3 emulator at the moment. I don't actually know if there are any alternatives, but at least when you do some searching, like nothing else really comes up. So this is some very well-made software and it just continuously keeps getting updated. I've only had this installed for like 3 or 4 days and it's already had 4 updates. So the team working on this, they're hard at work, let me tell you that. So yeah, is there anything else I need to mention? This is by no means a setup guide. There are plenty of setup guides out there, but I will give you some tips and tricks, just a few things that sort of slipped me up initially, which I wish someone had sort of just said to me more bluntly. I don't know if that means I'm thick and not really reading the material that's given to me, but regardless. So, ISOs, PS3 ISOs. I just cracked my knuckles by accident, flinging my hands all over the place. I'm not sure if that came through on the microphone or not, but it hurt. Regardless, this emulator will not just straight up run ISOs, but if you have the ISOs, that's okay. You don't need to do anything too special. Basically, you just need to right click the ISO, open in a file explorer, so you get mount the ISO basically, and the files and folders in there, just simply copy and paste those to another folder. And then you can just point the emulator to that folder, and that's all you need to do. There is a great compatibility list for this, which will tell you even in the emulator, like you can see here, if they're playable in-game. And I'm going to show a few of each today. There are others that basically just get to the menu. I'm not really going to bother with those. I think it's just a bit pointless if they're not running at all. But these games do run to a degree, so I think it is worth showing. What you can do, I should also add that I got none of these games playing straight out of the box. They all required configuration. So this is not the easiest emulator to use, but sort of once you get your head around it, it does make sense. So even though, say, Motorstorm Pacific Rift here, it does say it's playable, and it booted and everything without any changes, but there was just this huge bloom effect. So what you can do is go right click, for some reason that came up over there. If you go check game compatibility, it'll load through to the website. So I'll just show you this real quick. And you can see they're playable. You can also choose different games here to look at. But it's handy that you can just get to right where you need to straight from the emulator. So this does give some recommended options, and I'll show you how to change those in a second. The only thing I needed to change was this, the right color buffers. And this is a pretty common one that you'll change quite a bit on all of them. So here it says fixes excessively bright bloom. I literally clicked that checkbox and it fixed the problem. I didn't actually change any of these other things because performance is pretty good on my PC, but you may need to for yours. Another one here, say like The Last of Us, just to show you something else. So same thing, we can go, where am I looking for? Check game compatibility, let it load, click on the thingo. So this is a game that's, it runs, but not very well. It's still an active development. The emulator is, they're still actively working towards getting it working. So a cool thing you can do is these patches. So it's got a bunch of recommended patches here, plus some other stuff, well, as highly recommended. These are basically for performance reasons. You'll need to add these, trust me. But you can also add in some other stuff like infinite flashlight battery, which, you may find that useful. So you can just go right click. I don't know why the menu keeps popping up all the way over on the other side of the screen. It wasn't doing that before. Regardless, you can just go manage game patches. And for some reason, all the patches I selected aren't showing. So that's concerning because I'll be showing this working later. Regardless, like infinite flashlight battery. So it looks like I'll have to recheck those, or maybe you check the patches and it puts the patches in the game and then it doesn't. It's a bit worrying. Let's just, oh no, it's freezing. Oh God, okay. Let's just kill that. This does happen from time to time. It is a bit of a beast of a program. It can sort of crushes itself under its own pressure at times, I believe. So let's just boot that back up. All right, I'm just gonna go to the patches for Uncharted 3 real quick. Yeah, those patches are enabled. So I'll re-enable those patches for The Last of Us, unless the emulator was just cracking it, since it did crash right afterwards. No, okay. I'll do that off camera later before I show you that. Anything else? Yeah, so you can use a PS3 controller. It's pretty cool. So I've just got like one of the OG blue ones here. This one is the DualShock 3 Sixaxis model, which is the one I had back in the day. I played so much PS3 when I was a teenager. I think this is like the third controller I had. Just wear the crap out of the other ones. But basically, I'm going to show you a game that's listed as in-game, then I'll show you a game that's listed as playable, and we'll just go between the two. So let's start with Uncharted 3. And also, I should note that I'm only going to show games here that were exclusive to the PS3. So this is the only way you can play these games on a PC. Otherwise, you do need to use a PlayStation 3. So this one's all ready to go. Let's get in game and have a look. Okay, here we are in game. So like I said, this is a game that is considered as in-game status, so it works, but it's not full compatibility. It's not running at its full potential. So just keep that in mind. I do have an FPS counter in the top left, so just keep an eye on that, and you can sort of get an idea of the frame rate that you will expect for playing this. So this is pretty early on in the game. I did play it for about an hour last night though, even though it's a bit janky. I love this game, so I was happy just to sit there and play it, even though I didn't intend to. So let's just smoke these dudes. Ah, got there towards me, before me. So as you can see, we're running at a pretty solid, oh crap, 20 something frames a second. Sorry, I just had to smoke those dudes before I could check my frame counter. Oh, I wanted that big gun. So I was playing in outdoor areas before, and obviously the frame rate drops quite a bit. So the frame rate's actually running pretty well here because it does drop a bit there, just because we're inside, I think.
That is a long way down.
But for the most part, it does. I did have a few crashes as well. It's really hard to talk and like game at the same time. So I did have a few crashes as I was playing. If you go into this, just expect that. But I don't think this was possible a year ago. I don't think this game ran at all. So it's pretty amazing that it's in a playable state. So I'll just get down to this next bit and then... Okay, I might use that as an excuse to get on to the next game. Try and keep this level, this game level, keep it, you know, semi-short. Just such a great game. I love the Uncharted games. One of my all-time favorite games. So you can actually access the emulator menu by pushing the PS button on the controller. And here you can like quickly change some settings. So it's kind of like their version of the XMB, whatever it's called. So I realized I got distracted before talking about stuff. I was talking about the controller. So what you want to do, I'll leave this linked in the description. But if you go onto their website, on their wiki, they do have a controller configuration page. So just, if you want to use an original controller, I had luck using this, Nefarious's DS-HID Mini, or HID Mini. Just follow those instructions there, pretty easy. You just got to download a program and do some configuration. It's pretty simple to do though. Okay, so let's play something that does have full compatibility. Let's get on to Motorstorm. This is another great game. So this is one of the first games I actually ever owned on PS3. But yeah, also I do realize that I forgot to show you how to change the options that were shown in the compatibility. So yeah, I'll play this and I'll show you that. Okay, so like I said before, this game required the least amount of configuration to get working. I just had that issue of bloom, and then I literally checked a checkbox and it started working. So it does look a little bit blurry, but we've got to keep in mind that this is outputting 720p, which is native for this game. And I've currently got it blown up on a 4K monitor. So there is that to keep in consideration. You can try and boost the resolution. Oh, okay, I wasn't supposed to drive in there apparently. You can officially boost the resolution if you like. I'm not really a big fan of that. I like running things at native resolutions if possible. You could also just make the window smaller if I wanted to. But as we can see, we're running at a solid 30 frames a second there. There may or may not be a limiter on this for the frame rate. I'm not entirely sure. Some games you can, I haven't really looked into it, but in some games you can totally just let the frame rate free, and apparently some people have had some good effects of that. But some good effects. I was thinking about water effects there as I was talking. Some good experiences, my God. It's so hard to talk and play games. But anyway, the point remains clear. This is running at 30 frames. I played this for a good half an hour yesterday. I tried out a few different tracks, and it reminded me how much I love this game. It's kind of sad that Motorstorms sort of disappeared. There was a time there where it felt like there was a Motorstorm game every other year, basically, and they've just disappeared. So if you've got any recommendations for Motorstorm-like games on PS5, please let me know. I would love to check them out, because I really froth this sort of gameplay. Just these crazy arcade races. You just don't really see them anymore. So anyway, that's Motorstorm. I'm going to drown again. And let's go check out a more simulation type racer. So we'll try Gran Turismo 6 now. While Motorstorm is in a playable state, this is considered a in-game compatibility state. So I'll just show you quickly how to change the settings I was mentioning before, because I keep getting sidetracked. But you can actually choose to just boot it with default configuration if you like, as a one-time sort of thing. If you're sort of, you're sussing it out and you're trying to figure out what's working and what's not. Usually I would boot with a custom configuration, because I've put a lot of time and effort yesterday into, trying to make these games run as best I can. So it's easy. You just go change custom configuration. Probably not even worth saying, but so we've got CPU, GPU, advanced. There is a debug menu there. I'd look up. That doesn't come by default, but if you Google it, you just have to go into a text file. I can't remember where. I would show you otherwise. You basically just need to change one of the variables in there from like false to true or something like that, and that appears. So if I think on the website, sorry, wrong page. Like here we go, GPU, advanced, recommended. You know, they all sort of associate with these tabs here. I don't think on the official website they'll mention anything in the debug settings, but if you go and like look up YouTube tutorials and like, you know, best settings for, you know, Last of Us in this emulator, usually they will be turning things on and off on the debug. So that's worth doing. But regardless, let's give Gran Turismo 6 a go. And yeah, you won't find a game more unlike to play on. God. What I'm trying to say is you won't find a game that's like, what am I trying to say? You know what, never mind. Let's just get into the gameplay. All right, so we can see some flashing straight away. I had a lot of trouble getting Gran Turismo 6 working, and I installed a hell of a lot of updates as well. Like it took hours to download and manually install these. So there is a, I'll link, I can't even remember how I found out the information, but you can install updates for games, but it's just a bit of a process. It involves Discord if you want to do it in like the least dodgy amount of way, but regardless, let's get in game. So again, this is playable, but it's so glitchy. Apparently GT6, oh, we're off to a great start. I'm in a Honda in Bathurst, that's kind of funny. Apparently GT5 does work pretty well. I haven't tested that. I just wanted to try sort of like the later games to see how they were going. But yeah, as you can see, it's jumping around all over the place. It's only running at like 17 or 16 frames per second. Not that it matters, driving like a Honda Accord. But like it plays, like you can get into it, but it's just not a very nice experience. You see down there at the bottom, it's not really a power issue, it's more an optimization issue. Like the CPU utilization, it's only using like 10% of my CPU at the moment. So yeah, this is kind of hard to look at, but like I said, this emulator has been updated 4 times since I installed it, like several days ago. So every time an update comes through, I assume one of these games just gets a little bit better, and obviously there's just heaps of games that do run flawlessly because a lot of hard work has been put into it. So this is hurting my eyes, so I'm going to exit out of this. Pre-warning, my neighbor has been using their circular saw all morning. I've already put off filming a couple of times. I'm just going to launch Resistance 2 while I babble on. This one's listed as playable as well. Actually, this one I didn't change at all, I don't think. I don't think I changed any settings whatsoever. Anyway, so my neighbor has been using their circular saw on and off all morning. I've already tried delaying filming. At one point, the circular saw just went for about 10 minutes straight. I'm sort of running out of time. I've got a life, I've got things to do. Not that I don't want to do this, but if the circular saw goes off in the background, I'm sorry. Hopefully it doesn't affect the audio too much. The microphone's supposed to be good at, you know, getting rid of stuff like that. So we'll see how it goes. It could be a good test for it. So as you can see there, there is a bit of a load time before games play. I actually had to stop filming for GT6 because it took about 5 minutes. Not ideal, but it is what it is. We're using a freely made emulator that just really should not exist in the first place. So Resistance 2, I feel like the Resistance series was another awesome game series that I loved playing back in the day. I played all of them. Wouldn't mind for it to make a comeback on the PS5. I think that would be pretty cool. So I've already played this a little bit. Just basically got to a point where I can run around and shoot some, you know, big crickets or whatever the hell they're supposed to be. Alien fungi from outer space. Oh, we don't have the overlay. So I'll just put the overlay on real quick. Might as well show you how to do that. So you can just go to Settings, Performance Overlay, Enable Performance Overlay. So as we can see, this seems to be running at a pretty straight 30 frames a second. So I wanted to show just like the differences in performances of the games, but obviously if you download this yourself, you want to be just looking at the games that have the little green icon next to them. Like it's probably not really worth, you know, trying to like suffer through the other games. Like I said, Uncharted is pretty playable. Like I did get a headache at times, so the frame rate would drop down a bit, especially in the outdoor areas, but still perfectly playable. And like I said, I played it for a good hour last night. Kind of fun, Saturday night, staying in, playing some Uncharted 3. through an emulator on my computer. Like, maybe I'm just getting old, but I thought that was pretty cool. I almost forgot to eat dinner. But, you know, I could play this for ages, but this is not a that sort of video. I just want to show that it works, and as you can see, there's lots of stuff going on. There's particle effects and different models and all sorts of crap going on. And yeah, look at the processor. It's running at 8%. Maybe I don't need to overclock my processor. So obviously results may vary. I know people out there don't have the greatest computers in the world, and that's fine. Either you don't care or you can't afford it. Like, that's just the way it is. But like I said, this is an older rig, and even though it was a beastly rig in its day, it still runs fine. So yeah, we'll smoke these guys. Consider yourself smoked, guys, and let's go check out something else. Okay, just as a bit of a bonus, I thought I would show The Last of Us. This isn't technically a exclusive game to the PS3. You can actually play it on PC now, as well as PS4 and PS5. But it was such a monumental game for the system, and it was such a high performance game. I was just curious, I had to go check it out. So I've sort of added this last minute. And you may have noticed in the title screen there, it was already glitching a little bit. So this did require quite a bit of work. Oh, I just realized that those patches weren't enabled. Oh, let's just see what happens. Ooh, yeah, it's pretty rough. It's pretty rough. I can't say I was running too much better with those patches. So here we're literally running it in 10 seconds. It says 10 seconds, it feels worse than that. It's just like there's some motion blur.
What was that?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, I swear you can see that explosion out the window. Nice, yeah. So, like I said, it is playable. I have seen videos on YouTube of people who've got this in a much more playable state. Look at some weird on-screen glitches coming up there. I haven't messed around with this too much. Jeez, let me look out the window. It doesn't like that. So it may be possible. Otherwise, this is a game that will run on PC natively now, and there's just plenty of ways to play it. And if you haven't played it, you should. It's an amazing game. Even all these years later, it still holds up. An amazing TV show to boot too. So yeah, I think I'm gonna just put this game out of its misery now, and we'll get back to the main screen. So there we go. I don't think I even mentioned, it is actually in alpha at the moment, but it's been in development for quite a few years now, and it's something that I've been wanting to check out. It's really impressive. If you don't have a PS3, get this, download. If you want to play some PS3 games, it's awesome. It's well worth checking out. It's not as hard to set up as people sort of say it is. It's probably harder than your traditional Super Nintendo emulator, but it's not too bad. Just look up a couple of guides. You'll be okay. I have faith in you. But yeah, that's the end of this video. Thanks for coming along for the ride. There's quite a lot of prep work in this video to just sit here in front of a camera for 15 minutes, but it is what it is. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.